here's a quick update on the VQ37-300ZX swap. So engine's on the little pallet over there. I got the fuel pump sitting right there. Some of the, wiring harness that I need, including the V-valve and fuse box, all other nonsense. And then inside the car, I don't have my flashlight on me, but I have this other harness, the dash harness that needs to come out. Once I get that out, I'm gonna lay it all out on the ground. I'm gonna connect everything. I'm gonna hook up the automatic transmission back up to the car. And then I'm gonna submerge the fuel pump in some fuel and see if it will fire up. And if it can run on the ground, then it will run in my 300ZX. So that's the update I have. What's going on, guys? It's been a minute since I've made a upload, but I want to show you guys what the newest winter build is going to be for 2025. So this was my G37 parts car that I have stripped completely, and I have its entire nervous system scattered on the ground. I'm going to connect everything, including the gas pedal and gauge cluster and stuff. I'm going to connect everything as if it were inside the car, and I'm going to reconnect the unfortunate automatic transmission to the VQ37 that came out this car that I was running. I'm going to reconnect that and then find a way to submerge. I'll probably just get like a 5-gallon bucket or whatever, but I will submerge that fuel pump, the G37/370Z sending unit. I will submerge that into some fuel, run a fuel line, connect it to the motor, and I guess just give it a crank and see what it does. So this is where I'm at. This is what I've been doing for the past 2 days. And I know for a fact that if I can get this car running on the ground, then it will run in my 300ZX. So I'm going to go ahead and get started connecting everything together. Okay, so I'm not really too sure where I want to start, but I do know where I want to start. Some important notes. I know there's some grounds in here that I got to pay attention to, so I'll have to be sure to ground some of the, grounds. Okay, so that took way longer than planned. I was fighting with this transmission for a very long time, trying to get it bolted up to the engine, but then I realized right before I was about to cut the bell housing, I realized the bell housing bolts onto the transmission, and I just didn't know that because, with the manuals, they're all like forged or casted together, and you can't really separate the bell housing from the manual transmission. You gotta, cut it off. But anyway, I got 2 bolts in the bell housing just for starting, and I got the starter hooked up. Signal wire hooked up. All the O2 sensors are not hooked up. MAFs are not hooked up. I don't know where I put my tubes at. I think I threw them away, but I'll see if it'll start without the MAFs connected. If not, then I'll connect them. But a few things before I show you guys that, because I don't know if that's going to click on or not, but I need to go to the auto store and buy some actual fuel line, at least like 5 feet of it or something like that, so it's safer. This is all fuel that came from the parts car, so I got about 2 gallons left. I'm going to submerge that in here. Then I'm going to, well, I guess before I do that, I'm going to see if I can tap into the fuel pump, and, well, I'm not really too sure how I'm going to, my voice is cracking, good Lord. I want to put it on a switch, but I guess I'll cross that bridge whenever I get there. I'll figure that out. But anyway, I got everything somewhat hooked up just to test for power. And we're going to see what's going to happen here. Oh. Whoa. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Can I adjust my brightness? Wow, look at that. We're almost there, guys. We are almost there. All right, another update. So I got power to the cluster, and I'm assuming everything else has power to it as well. The only issue is right now is I can't seem to turn this off. Let me see what happens if I hold it down. Yeah, okay, so this is flux. Can't turn this off, so the only way to turn it off is to pull the grounds off, and then it should shut off. But yep, we're almost ready to get this thing fired up. One thing I wanted to test before I went to the auto parts store, I wanted to see if it would at least crank by pressing the button. I'm not too sure what's going to happen because I don't have the clock spring, the clock spring or steering wheel controls connected, but I'm curious. Now, I did connect the brake sensors, like the brake pedal sensors, so it should crank, but I guess I'll find out. Screw it. No, it is not. It is not cranking over, so that means I must have missed something. I know those things don't have to be pressed in for it to crank, and it still won't let me shut it off. I know that's a problem. So maybe this thing needs to be, the shifter needs to be put in park. I'm not sure which direction park is now. Oh yeah, silly. Push it in park. Let's try again. No, still nothing. Oh, well, one ground did fall off. Should see make a difference or not. Nope, still nothing. Okay, so I'll just go through and figure out what I forgot to connect and then try it again. All right, so I'm just gonna call it a night. Everything out of that car is connected on the ground except the rear portion of the chassis harness, which I don't think is relevant to any of this, but everything, even the transmission is laying on the ground, everything is connected, and it still doesn't want to crank. It won't engage the starter. Normally whenever the key is on, you hear like a little buzzing sound. It's not doing that either. So I got some things I got to research and figure out because I cannot read a wiring diagram. I was really hoping it'll just be as simple as you just connect everything that you remove from the car and you'll be good to go, but I guess that's not the case. So if I pull this off, then I'll shut the cluster off. I hear all the relays clicking and all that stuff, but it still doesn't want to do anything. And I can't shut it off either. So until I can shut this off, then I will always know that something is wrong. So I'm wondering if maybe it thinks that it was inside an accident because the airbag module isn't plugged in or something. I really have no idea, but that is where I'm at. All right, we're back. So I got the car to turn over. I got this little switch thing from Harbor Freight that allows me to manually trigger the starter solenoid. So hopefully with everything connected, I know the ECU has power, I know it has some codes, but I got basically like 90% of everything I need to be connected on this motor for it to run. So I guess enough stalling. I'm going to power everything on. Okay, dash is lit. That's weird. I have a key error this time. I have a key error. I may not want to start with that key error. Okay. Might be because I have a bad ground somewhere as well, because I only have this harness thing and only have so many grounds over here. So maybe I will make something up real quick to see if that'll fix that. I know that was pretty disappointing for a first start because it only ran for a few seconds, but I was a little surprised that it even ran, but I couldn't get it to run again, and I think it's because of the NAT system. So I'm gonna talk to my tuner about this and see what he has to say. Maybe we can figure something out this weekend so I can have it running for more than 2 seconds, but I think I'm on the right track. I just gotta get this thing to run as it would if it were inside the car, but on the ground, then I can finally proceed with the next step. There we go, figured it out. Ooh, I'm so happy. And there we have it. I am now officially the VQ37 god. I finally figured it out, and it was so stupid. I couldn't, now that everything runs, I'm super excited, but I forgot what I said in the other videos, but I had mentioned maybe that a couple fuses and stuff were blown, which was true. I had replaced those, and it still didn't seem to make a difference. But there was this weird buzzing that kept going on with this car, and it didn't make any sense. And I'm like, something just doesn't make any sense. And the buzzing was, I guess, I don't know, someone described it in a form, they called it like some type of throttle body electric whistle or whatever. I'm like, fine, whatever. Like, I recall a few of my VQ37s making that noise, but not all of them, especially not that loud. So I came over here by the transmission, and I was looking at it. And I was looking at the shifter, and I'm like, wait a minute. What if the transmission and the shifter aren't really in sync? As in, what if whenever I dropped or moved my transmission, I put it in a different gear compared to what the shifter was at? The shifter was in park. Well, it's in neutral now, but it's in park. And I had everything connected, and I bumped this, and that noise that I heard, this weird buzzing sound, just went away. I'm like, oh, that's right. Because the TCM is inside the transmission, and it doesn't, the TCM knows what gear it's in, and then you have the gear lever right here, and that just selects the gear. So normally these are synced together by a rod, and that rod was removed, so it just goes by the TCM. And I believe that, okay, well, it's probably not starting because it thinks it's in drive or reverse or something like that, and that's why it's not starting. So I just kept clicking the lever until the buzzing stopped, and then I went to go fire it up, and it just ran. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I done recorded this thing at least 23 times of, every single attempt to start it. And then today I just kind of gave up. I'm like, you know what? It's just going to be another day. It's not going to run, alone, and that's just going to be the end of it. But it did it the one time I wasn't filming, so it is what it is. But super excited. That means I can finally proceed with the next step, and that is kind of going through this entire wiring harness and just picking through everything that I do not need, and I'll just start cutting it. So if it runs after I cut it or something like that, then I know I am good. But the only other issue, sucks I'm using my selfie cam on this. The only other issue that I still have is I can't get the gear selector on the screen, and I'm pretty confident that is why I can't shut it off with the switch, because I don't know how to explain this, but I think it still thinks that it's, not synced together, or something got desynced and now it's just all fucky-wucky. I don't know, but I feel like it's not letting me turn it off because it still thinks it's in a gear. Just like if you were to hop inside your car and you were to put it in drive and then shut it off, try taking the key out, it won't come out. I think that's the same problem I'm having right now. But regardless, I got it all figured out all by myself, and I am really proud of myself. So I am super excited. I guess later this week, I'm going to drag out the parts car, get that turd out of here, get my 300ZX in, and get the gold motor out and start, attempting to get this motor in and making mounts and stuff. And it's going to be a good time. I'm super excited. This was starting to kind of bum me out, thinking that I'm like, man, I think I may have bit off a little bit more than what I could chew, but after tonight, I'm super excited. Like, the motivation is at an all-time high right now. Super thrilled.